Hey everyone, it's Dale Berkebile, and today I thought I would do another video related to music and mental health. So again, this is Dale Berkebile with Hella Good Life, and May is Mental Health Awareness Month. May is also National Meditation Month. The 21st is actually World Meditation Day. And I'm going to be doing a free meditation with people. So if you want that or want more information, give me some thoughts in the comments and just let me know you're interested. But today, really, what I'm trying to do is build awareness around mental health. And doing that, I'm going to talk about one of my favorite things, which is music, and we're going to talk about how those things intersect. So thank you for joining me. So hopefully, if you're watching this, you have some sort of interest in maybe both music and mental health, or maybe you're a music fan and you know me a little bit and you're curious what I'm going to say, and also curious about why I would want to talk about mental health. So first off, music. Music has been a huge part of my life. And so, I remember, I think probably around 8 years old is when I really just poured my heart and soul into music. I just, bought tapes, uh, albums in the early days. And then it went to tapes, I guess. So first it was probably albums and then tapes. Uh, but just a mad music fanatic, really. I love all kinds of genres. I'm not a big fan of top 40, but I love anything that's obscure, anything that's weird, anything that's different, anything that's creative. And, it's interesting because they say music um, tames the beast, or um, what is it? Tames the savage beast, or something along those lines, right? And so music was always something that I leaned on to get my emotions under control. If I wanted to get excited or fired up, I'd get some really amped up music and just like get after it, right? It would pump you up and get you fired and ready to go for the day. If I wanted to chill down, I would just kind of put on some softer music that was a little more tame, a little more calm. If I was pissed off, I would turn on some music, sometimes fast and angry music, to just like get it out there. Other times it would be to totally bring that bring that tone down. Um, but my buddy House of Wax kind of got me thinking a little bit about this, about the connections between music and mental health. And so I I just wanted to share a couple thoughts on it. And because May is Mental Health Awareness Month, I thought, let's talk about it a little more. Let's get it out in the open. And, my own thoughts about mental health. The reason I wanted to do this is because nearly a decade ago, I had my own struggles with depression. And I felt like, looking back, I now built some coping tools to deal with things. Any kind of craziness that comes in my life, I can mostly deal with, um, or at least deal with in a positive, healthy way, even though it is crazy and it's stressful and, whatever. And I want to share those ideas with others because I don't ever want anyone to go where I went as far as the dark place with depression. So I'm passionate about trying to help others avoid that at all costs. For me, when I had my bout with depression, the previous decade, I pretty much got busy with life, with relationships, and different things like that, where I kind of put my passion for music on hold. I stopped going to shows to see live music, which is something I'm really passionate about. I stopped really buying music, so I wasn't up to date with what was going on. Now, I don't know, that was like 2000, 2010, kind of in that space. And I don't know that, you know, being biased, I don't know that the music was amazing in that space, but coming out of the 90s was really an amazing decade for music, in my personal opinion. And maybe that's because I was in my 20s and I had a whole lot of time and disposable income to just buy lots of music and play with things and whatnot. But um, one of the things that I wanted to touch on too is, why am I doing this under the Hella Good Life brand? And I think one of the things that is a requirement of a Hella Good Life is that you have passion, right? You have passions about something, whatever it is, hobbies or, whatever. You have to find something in your life that you're passionate about. Music is one of those passions for me. So in order to live a Hella Good Life, I need to actually um, uh, have music in my life. It's really important. And let me see something once. I just want to see if let me flip that camera around. I just noticed that it was kind of backwards, and so that was kind of funny. Anyhow, if I want to live a hell of a good life, I have to have music in my life. It's kind of a no-brainer. It's got to be there. So I ask you, what do you need to have in your life? Is music one of those things? And as we're talking about music, as we're talking about mental health, I have a couple things that come to mind. So I mentioned the 90s. In the 90s, we had Kurt Cobain kill himself, right? We had great albums by Nirvana and stuff that Kurt was putting out. And if we read the lyrics, maybe we would know and understand that, that that there was a cry for help there to some degree, right? And let me see. So Gigi this morning says, "Hey, good morning." So good morning to you. Appreciate you watching. Yes, music helps. It does, right? Do you have any preferences that you use to enhance emotions or cope with difficult emotions or something like that? If you do, please share some of your thoughts there. But anyhow, Kurt Cobain actually killed himself, and he was, doing drugs and different things like that, and living sort of a crazy lifestyle. And so, why did we ignore that? Why didn't anyone reach out and try and help? And maybe a lot of people did. I don't know, because I wasn't there. But I remember the day, and I believe it was 94, that I heard of his passing, and it just hit me and knocked the wind out of me. Like, oh my God, I was driving, I was in Pittsburgh going to visit some friends. And I remember being on the road where I was at, right, just getting to Pittsburgh, which was a 4-hour drive from where I was at. And I was just, just like blindsided me, and it was difficult, and then I think of another superstar in the, Gigi here says, yes, read the words. The words can give us some great insight and some great wisdom. Another artist that I loved in that time is Soundgarden, and Chris Cornell. When he went out on his own, I was not a huge fan of his solo work. Even the work that was after Bad Motorfinger. This was like the earlier stuff is my favorite Soundgarden stuff. But he was an amazing artist, and people really valued his thoughts on, just his quality of and skills and things like that. But I don't know what year he died or killed himself, but the funny thing is, that blew me away too, because I was like, holy shit, man, he's looked up as one of the greatest artists of the time, great singer and musician and whatnot. He had what looked to be a great life. He sold millions of albums. He had, he's always on tour, always getting rave reviews and things like that, and had a good family, it seemed. And again, I don't know all the details of his personal life, but it was a serious blow. And anyhow, so that was just something that really struck me. And so, how do we not see it when these people get famous and have depression or anxiety? I mean, let's see. Okay, so Gigi joins us too and says, I do listen to all music, classical to hip hop to solid rock, depends on my mood and activities. Right on. And let's see, music teaches us if we have an open mind and are willing to listen, everyone's music, we learn a lot of things happening in the world. And that's really true. You know, oftentimes what they're talking about is things that are going on in their lives or in the world. And so it can be, sometimes we are ignorantly bliss, maybe, or ignorant to the situation, and not willing to open our eyes to the reality because maybe we don't want to deal with it. I don't know. I have to joke about when we look at music as a whole, a lot of times one of the attractions, maybe, or one of the fears as parents or older people or whatever, is the whole sex, drugs, and rock and roll, right? And it makes me think, where does that come from, right? Is music a way to cope? So if you're a musician, do you write things as your way to cope? And and I think of Kurt Cobain, right? Was he writing music to get that stuff out, the angst and the struggles and the frustrations or whatever, to get that stuff out and let go of some of those toxic emotions, maybe? I don't know, but his lifestyle looked pretty kick-ass from a 20-year-old perspective. And in my 20s, I acted a little crazy, wanting to reenact the rock and roll lifestyle. Sex, drugs, and rock and roll, man, let's go. And everything was a party. And, we lived for the weekends to party with friends and, chase girls in my case, and, do all this stuff. But is some of that avoidance of the reality of life? Do we chase these crazy things to numb out and not deal with the craziness of life? Right? I mean, these are some questions that I ask myself, and I think about a little bit as I study mental health and whatnot. Let's see. Yeah, and Gigi says again, yes, way of thinking, music was the devil and would make everyone crazy. Yes, back in the day, it's so funny because I wanted to get there was a record player that I was looking at that plays records backwards, and I wanted to buy it as one of the benefits of that player, because I think there's a couple albums that I have that actually have that have music that play backwards a little bit, or parts of it or something. And in the 80s, that was a big deal. Like, that was a crazy thing. Like, oh my God, you're gonna go, Satan's gonna whatever. And the PMRC kind of banning all this different kind of music, and if you play the record backwards, you're gonna die. I think it was like Ozzy Osbourne, or Black Sabbath, or I don't know, Motley Crue, or someone along those lines. If you play it backwards, you're gonna go into a satanic trance, or whatever, unleash the devil, or some crazy stuff. So anyhow, it was kind of funny, but but that being said, um, what else can we take? What else can be the connections between um, music and mental health? And let's see. So let me see. Gigi says, think about the Grateful Dead and the following was crazy hippies. And you know what? And the funny thing is about the Grateful Dead, there's a lot of Dead albums that I really love. Um, oh gosh, what's the Working Man's Dead is like one of my favorite Dead albums. And but in my youth, like my teens in high school and stuff like that, I hated the Dead. I wasn't totally, just a bunch of druggies, blah blah blah. I had this attitude of what I thought they were, and I never really. I actually had I had an album or 2, and actually it might have been Working Man's Dead that I listened to, and I was just like, "What the hell is this? This is not for me." It's like this kind of country sounding, slow, whatever. Um, and then and that was my favorite album by them. And but uh, but it took me a while to get into it, and that was in my 20s where I was like, getting into sex, drugs, and rock and roll, where I was more open to the Dead and bands that talked about or bands that talked about or that were associated with drugs and things like that. Cypress Hill was a favorite hip hop band at that time, still. And let me see. Um, yeah, so Gigi says she listened to them in high school. Yeah, I mean, they're great. One of the things that I will say is sometimes we have these bands that we listen to that maybe others think are bad or, you know, harmful to our mental health potentially. That was a big thing with the PMRC and labeling music. I don't think either one of these have a label on fun. Kind of funny. Maybe it was on the outside of the wrapper. But then there's also music that brings us into a more healthy state of mind. And so I wanted to talk about that a little bit today as well. And so I'd ask you, what is music that, just kind of gets you in the zone? It's really something that is pretty amazing for you and calming and pleasant and whatever. And it doesn't have to be slow music necessarily. But for me, this is maybe one of the greatest albums of all time is Bob Marley's Legend. I think that, this is such an amazing album. And it crosses over to so many different kinds of people can get into Bob's work. And this album, especially, like this album is a great entry point into reggae and Bob Marley in general. But I think it's one of those things that I can put on pretty much in any mood and just have a pretty amazing time with it. Um, so Gigi shares she likes bells, I believe, and also loves Bob. It's hard not to love Bob. Uh, he's so great. Now, one thing that I would like to do, I got to figure out the legal rights here and stuff like that. With this, I would love to actually play some clips of music. So I got to do some research on how I can do that without getting without getting banned and without breaking laws. But I would love to play some of this music for you. But what I would say is, go to YouTube or go to Spotify or some sort of audio player like that, and listen to a couple of these bands. Check out Nirvana, check out Soundgarden or Chris Cornell. Check out Bob Marley. Check out the Grateful Dead, and listen to some of these things. One person that really surprised me is Tina Turner. Um, I've I've always been kind of you know I kind of liked Tina Turner from the 80s. I was interested in her as, I think I'm trying to think of some of the earliest stuff that I recall, but she had some really big hits in the 80s, and then she she was also uh I forget what her character name was, but she was an actor in Mad Max Beyond the Thunderdome, and and she was just like this older goddess of rock and roll, and in that movie was dressed in this kind of crazy outfit and whatever, but her music was always really great. But later in life, what I found was, of course, if you know her background, her and Ike, her ex, had their issues, right? Everyone kind of knows that that was an ugly relationship or bad relationship, and uh, difficult relationship maybe. And but what I found out later in life, just recently, is that she has been meditating for years and years and years, and I think it was partially because of the relationship and the turmoil that she was in because of that difficult relationship, that really may have pushed her to check out meditation, which I didn't know until just a few years ago. And she here's one that I will tell you to go check out. So go on. I'll try and share this in the comments as well. She has one that's called a peace mantra, a song, and man, it's just amazing. So beyond just doing meditation herself, she's actually done some music for, you can use it for meditation or you can just listen to it. And it's really powerful. It is kind of a good word for it, and soothing and relaxing. And, you could use it for, like I said, you could use it for meditation or you could use it for, uh, just to listen to, when you're driving in the car and things like that. So Gigi here says, love Tina also. I have her on bookmark for meditation. And so there you go. There's a perfect example of, someone using her music as a meditation tool. So that helps with mental health. And I think this was in regards to her relationship and physical trauma healing, right? And so that's why she was doing meditation and things like that. That's why I share so much about meditation, because it was one of the powerful tools that I used to break free of my own depression. And like I said, go check out that Tina Turner song, Peace Mantra. It has a longer name, but I'm not gonna try and pronounce it, and I'm not gonna spell it out because it'll take a little bit. But if you do a search for Tina Turner Peace Mantra on YouTube, you'll find it. It's really great, and maybe I will post it down in the comments once this video is over. So anyhow, it's kind of weird not playing any music when we're talking about music, because I want to avoid those legal issues, but I think that would improve the conversation and the experience. But we'll see if I can figure out some of that stuff in the future. Anyhow, at this point, I think those are some of the things that I wanted to talk about today. I just want to normalize the conversation around mental health. I want to show the crossover with music and mental health as well, because like I said, my buddy Wax from the House of Wax actually got me thinking about this a lot, and maybe we'll have him on again and we'll do another episode, because I really enjoyed talking with him and his thoughts. And he's also a guy from Pittsburgh, so that's pretty awesome for me since that's where I went to college and where I developed a whole lot of my music tastes. Um, but anyhow, this stuff, music can be something that helps soothe the soul, and it can be something that is used, that can actually be negative as well. So, we want to be aware of that. But it's good to understand the artist, where they're coming from, their background. Uh, Try and look a little deeper, maybe into some of those lyrics or the music or whatever. But at the same time, find what serves you in the music world and what's going to help you create passion in your life to create that hella good life. Music is one of those things for me. So thanks so much for watching. Thank you, Gigi, for joining us in the conversation. And I will talk to you another time. So thank you so much. You have a great day. Gigi says, thank you. Thank you, my friend. Have a good day.